We are breaking down blind landings. What are they? What are they good for? Where do you do them? Why do you do them? We're going to do that by covering blind landings with back nines, back ones, back fives, front threes, front sevens. Every trick that I think is relevant for people that you use with blind landing. I'm going to demonstrate how we're doing it, why we're doing it, and what it is that we are in fact doing. So we're going to start with back ones, because we're going to be using these same principles on a back one as we do for back nines, just tweaking it and getting it more advanced, more power, the whole shebang. So what is a blind landing? Blind landings are when you take off, your eyes are locked on the knuckle. So eyes down on the knuckle here, keeping it tracking. And what this does is it lets you go and continue tracking that knuckle as you fly past it, finishing with a spot looking back uphill at that point you've been looking at the whole time. So this is a part that people find really challenging, is figuring out where you're supposed to be looking for the blind landing. You're supposed to be looking right, boom, at the end of the knuckle, at the path you're going over. What this does is it keeps your whole body aligned and keeps you stacked. See how I'm stacked over my spot here? This helps me stay in the landing and stay in control in the air. If I'm spotting way back here, it's going to do a few things. Firstly, it's going to really disorientate me because I'm not seeing anything. I'm just looking at white as white is fading past my vision. Next, it's going to make it so to maintain my spot over here, as I start going over the knuckle, I'm going to need to start bending my upper body forward and forward and forward, making it so I'm not leaning over my board as I'm coming to the landing. But if you go and hold your landing right at the knuckle of the jump, then once you pass it, it leaves you in this uphill blind landing position. This position is really important when you're doing this kind of landing, and this kind of landing refers to rotating with your back being towards the landing. This is every time we're using a blind landing, is our back's going to be the last thing finishing the 180. And this is so useful because it lets us land with our upper body twisted. See how my arms close, my head's back? This gives me time to go and disperse my momentum. So see how I hold this blind landing? Uphill, and then disperse the momentum through it. This is what we're trying to do. So if you try to look up too soon, if you land looking here, you don't have anything to disperse momentum, and that's where you get that heel wash you see so much. But I see you're not convinced. That's not a blind landing. So now we're going to go and check out the same thing on a back five. Does it carry through? Because the same principle should apply to every single trick that's going and having your back come into it. So let's see. I take off. I spot the knuckle. You can see it right there. Vision's locked forward on the knuckle. Pull that out of the screen. Boom. You can't see it because my muscular shoulders are blocking it, but you can really get a good look right here. See how my axis of rotation isn't so much that my vision is stuck looking forward? Instead, I'm trying to maintain on the axis of rotation that will let me spot, boom, down at that knuckle. And I'm going to hold that spot the whole way. So it's a little hard to see, but right here, my eyes, boom, right there, locked on the knuckle, down at the knuckle the whole way. And then I go and carry that over all the way into that landing. And we can see it right here. I'm coming in, and then my vision gets shifted uphill as my back comes in, as I'm tracking over the knuckle. I end up going pretty big here, so my vision would normally be here-ish, but I'm over demonstrating the blind landing. But the reason why I'm landing so lean forward is because I'm trying to look uphill too much. But basically, you're trying to go and land looking back uphill the way you've been spotting the whole time. You can sort of see it here. I do my normal spot, and then to demonstrate it, I'm looking a bit more uphill. But principles apply. You're trying to look back up at the knuckle, because that's going to let us go and disperse the momentum. You can see this one, I went and used a little bit of counter rotation right there where the hips go and shift. That slows me down. I dug in my toes a lot, so I slowed down a lot of speed, and I was really looking back up here. So I actually didn't need to disperse anything. I could have held that the whole way, and that's why. But now let's go and look at it on a frontside 360, because frontside spins are the same. On backside, it goes back 1, back 5, back 9, back 12, front side, front 3, front 7, every rotation where you're finishing with that back. So here, I pop up and watch this. This is really important and something people miss a lot on front threes. My vision is still straight coming off the takeoff. I'm not going and letting my eyes start gazing this way and letting myself rotate with my head. Your head doesn't move at all during the rotation on front three. Instead, you plant your eyes on the point in front of you, and then you let your body rotate around it. This one isn't the best demonstration because, again, my back's blocking the shot, but I did a point. And this is how much control you get when you do this spot, because you have so much awareness of where you are because you're looking forward and you're rotating around that spot. It gives you so much mobility. So boom, pointing right where I'm spotting. See? So I'm here the whole time. My eyes aren't coming around and being locked in like towards the knuckle here or back towards the end of the takeoff. Instead, my vision's actually still gazed forward. Just so you know, in order to do this, you can't just go and have your gaze forward, your chest forward, like opened up towards the knuckle, because that's going to kill your rotation. So if you're doing this, you need two things. First of all, you need to make sure this front arm's leading the rotation. And the second thing is you need to make sure that you're generating rotation off a jump. That means you're leaving off with momentum still carrying. So see how I'm not holding any like stack positions until I leave off the jump? That's just carrying my momentum, and it's going to be really important for getting that constant spot. But then boom, tracked it, hold it right here. This is where a lot of people start looking up, but you hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, boom, land counter rotated, dig in the toes, and then you can look up and continue riding. Now let's go and look at it with a front 7, and then we're going to look at it for a back 9, and just try demonstrate that we're doing the same thing the whole time. Popping up, eyes forward, but since it's a 7, I'm going to need to lose the landing a little bit because you can't track it when rotating like here. You need to go and get past it. So I'm starting forward, committing to the snap, digging into it, and then instantly right here. This is when I see it again. And once I see it at 270, I'm going to be tracking it the whole time. So see how my vision's locked on the knuckle there? This lets me just go and hold my neck in that position and maintain the rotation. And this helps you get into the landing as well. So you can see right here, sort of nose diving in, but my eyes are locked in. And this is actually perfect because it's going to set up my axis of rotation to come in stacked. And then we're going to go and be holding it too. So eyes locked on the knuckle, using counter rotation to whip it around because it's a small jump. And then landing with that fully wound up position, digging the toes, and riding away. So you can see how similar it is to my backside ones, my back 5s. It's all the same principles and techniques, and that's tracking the knuckle right in front of you. Again, this wouldn't work. Imagine if I was trying to track the knuckle here or I was trying to track the landing way over yonder. It's not going to give you that same point of axis to pivot on and rotate. Think about if you're like rotating on a baseball, like before like going to do a hit, you put your forehead on the baseball bat, and when you do your spinning, how your vision's locked down and it's making it so you can rotate really fast over a single point. That's basically the same thing we're trying to do here, but using our spot on the knuckle as that pivot point. And yeah, we have one more demonstration. I guess I should actually play these full speed really quick, and then we're going to break down the back 9. What goes and pushes these principles to the maximum. So front 7 one more time, doop. Front 3 one more time, take it all in because we're going to be using it to look at the back 9. Front 3, spotting, locking, and now, okay, we're just going to the back 9. So the back 9, we're going to be seeing a lot of the same things, but with some slight differences because you'll see, I go, rotate fast, and I land deep. This is where a lot of people lose the ability to use the blind landing because once you go past the knuckle, the point where you're tracking, you're like, oh no, where do I look now? So I'm just going to show you the solution to that real quick. So same thing we're going to notice here. Snap, won't be able to go and spot it through the full rotation because it just doesn't work with the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm spotting the knuckle, and then as I hit the grab, I'm pulling in. So you can see, even though I'm not able to maintain a steady head position, I'm still maintaining a similar gaze. So right here, my gaze is set sort of downwards, coming into a grab, and then as I get that grab, I pull into a spin. And right here is when I'm really locked in, and this is when I'm going to really focus on the constant spot. I shouldn't be making any head movements after this point, but you might see an issue here. The knuckles right here, I've only rotated 450. I still have another half of my rotation to go. So that means my point of spot can't be locked at the knuckle, and instead it needs to shift and continue downhill. So we'll see that right here. So my eyes are locked on the knuckle, but as the knuckle fades past me, I just keep my eyes down at a point in front of me. And that's giving me the same feeling as tracking the knuckle. So if you're starting to rotate past it, even if you're rotating down, you can go and do the spot. You just want that knuckle because it gives you a gauge. So I'm still using the knuckle there because it gauges me. So even though I lose it, it gives me that reference I need to really come in and stop my spin. So what I do instead of tracking the knuckle is I just keep my vision downhill, keep it going, and then I keep the blind landing. And this is like the money spot to land when you're like high impact landing zone, right here. Boom, right at your back foot. That's just such a good spot. It gives you enough time to twist. It doesn't twist you too much, so you can still absorb the impact and come in. So I think we'll do a little recap and end this video. I just want to make this video because I see a lot of people going and not fully understanding the blind landing, placing it in the wrong spot, letting go of it too soon, rushing to get into it. So I just want to break this down, show it on a bunch of different tricks, so hopefully to give you a bit of a better understanding. What trick should we break it down on? We'll do it on the back one. The back one and front freeze, that's where you're mostly going to be learning it. So popping up, and before the recap, I do need to point out a mistake on my back ones. I looked down a little bit too soon. I'm sort of cheating the black landing. So see how I'm like spotting here? And then I'm just trust that it's going to come. But that's because this is a switch one and I'm confident it's going to come in. But that's just a note. Make sure your vision's a little bit more. My back one would be better if it was a bit more down there. But popping up, making sure to go and spot the knuckle and then locking the head in place, landing in that counter-rotated position. And as you land, you dig in your edge, hold it, and then look up. So it seems complex, it's hard to get your head around, but just practice on snow, practice that visualization of spotting in front of you and letting your body rotate past it. And then the biggest thing here that I really want to note is your spot is the end of the knuckle and it needs to be right where you're traveling over. So that means if you're drifting, you can't be spotting like, I can't be drifting over to the right and still spot here. I need to then shift my spot a little bit more this way because I'd be traveling cross court. That's another reason why not drifting helps your riding so much. So you need to keep your spot at the knuckle at the point you're going over. So that means like if you're not drifting, directly straight. If you're drifting a bit, it will need to shift slightly. That shouldn't be a conscious thing. You'll learn that subconsciously. But basically, you don't want to just be taking off and trying to spot the knuckle like at the edge there because that's going to throw your body off balance. Sorry for going on a little bit of a rant here. I've just been noticing this in a lot of people's riding and felt it was good to go and talk about it. So let me know if you want some more rants like this in the comments below, and thank you for watching the video. Also, if you're trying to get your clips broken down to figure out how to improve your snowboarding, sign up to addictionplus.tv. You can go and get video analysis, access all of our tutorials, a bunch of stuff. It helps support me, it helps support snowboard addiction, and just helps us keep doing what we're doing. So if you want to support the company, sign up for Addiction Plus. It really, really helps. Thank you and have a good one.